Hey, all. We're here tonight with Cody and Jon from Vile. They are a fucking badass band from Louisville that is relatively new and things are like happening. They are all over the fucking place. So let me say thanks, guys. I greatly appreciate you both taking time out of your night and coming to hang out and chat all things music.
Thank you for having us, buddy. The pleasure is all ours.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having us, Tom.
Hell yeah. So you guys were in bands before. Let's like what made Vile come about?
You
Well,
want to take it, Cody?
I messaged Jon one day because I saw that him and his he parted ways with his previous band, and I've always liked the way that his vocals sounded. So it literally started as just like a studio project, and then things once we started writing actual like songs were complete, we decided to take it to a full group and kind of just spaced out and found everybody else. I don't think anybody in the band knew each other prior to this, like on on any kind of like friendship level at least.
Right.
Okay. So it just started as a studio project. Now you guys are out doing shit, which is that's as a musician, that's fun as hell.
Yeah, absolutely. It's kind of hard. Like we, Cody, it's funny because like I was in a band, I left that band, and then I joined with Cody, and then Cody joined that old band as their guitarist. So it's like he's still a part of it. But I mean, that's just how Louisville is, man. I mean, everybody's in multiple bands because there's not enough people to play music. So, a lot of us are diverse in what we enjoy. So it's like you're in one band that does this, but you're in another band that does something completely different. I mean, they might still be metal, but I mean, it's not what we're doing. You know what I mean? It's
Right.
two sides of the same coin.
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of musicians are actually like that, right? Multiple outlets because you've got people who are more into like hardcore and then people who are into the Black and Death and then, and then you just got fucking punk and whatever else, right? So
Yep.
which a lot of conversations that I've had recently is big shout out to the Louisville music community because it's you have the punk and the hardcore and the metal all going and supporting each other, which is super nice.
Yeah, the Louisville scene right now is probably the best it's ever been since I've been in it, and that's been 15 years probably. So,
Now,
maybe 20.
It's pretty fucking fantastic. We've got some killer talent from here too.
oh
So
yeah, yeah, all over the city, man. Yeah, there's just like there's an endless amount of talent, like in all different walks of metal and rock too. Like this city's always had a pretty decent scene for the most part, but like Jon said, I think it's just right now, like post COVID, things have just everybody's kind of got the gears turning and people are touring again and things are just just blossoming.
hell yeah, they are. Hell yeah, they are, brother.
Yeah,
Hell
brother.
yeah, brother. The cream. Sorry, I'm a wrestling nerd.
Oh, cool. I'm not, but like I have little references like that
Hey,
sometimes. So
that's all you need, man.
yeah, for sure. So Cody, let's start with you. What got you like playing music to begin with?
As far as guitar, I'm actually somewhat of a late bloomer. I mean, I've been playing for a while, but I actually started playing music probably 2003 or something like that. I started off as a drummer, basically doing like pop punk covers and stuff like that. And then I took a break for a while, got into guitar, and I've been playing since like 2006. But yeah, it's basically just a lot of the same. I don't have anything really that cool that happened or anything. I just kind of fired one day, and I almost gave up about 5 times, but I kept through, and then I should still be way better than what I am for how long I've been playing. But yeah, I've
You
been
know,
a few bands in like the like late 2000s. I was in a band called Behind Illusion, like a hard rock kind of new metal, almost kind of screamo a little bit too. Back in the Phoenix Hill Tavern days, and a few bands here and there. Nothing's really panned out so far. Just kind of just had fun with some buddies up until now.
okay. So and now you're like, okay, we're fucking going for it.
Yeah, I was like, I joke with Jon about it all the time because him and I are the oldest in the group. We're like basically like not even a month apart, and I was like, it would happen in our mid 30s when to take off. Like we put in some hard work in like our younger days, but like it's like now it's like we finally write something that doesn't quite suck and people kind of like it, so it feels good. But it took a while.
It did very
Hey,
much so.
whatever, dude. Like, I don't think there's a real timeline on that, right? Because we look at, I think Morgan Freeman didn't start acting until he was in his 40s or something,
That's
Right.
true.
so like everyone's on their own timeline. Like, fuck that. Yeah,
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I don't think we would have been ready for it, man. Like if you just think of it, like mentally, how much we've grown since we were 22 now, it's like the downfalls that you find in being in a local band and all of the traps that you can fall in. We've been there, we've seen them, we've fallen in them. This band is, we literally said, this is our last shot. Let's fucking do it the right way. Like the way we should have done it every single time and couldn't because there was somebody that, had a different opinion or didn't want to push socials or thought that was lame or not hardcore enough or anything like that. You know what I mean? So it's like I try to it's art, of course. Everything about it is art. If you read my lyrics, like everything that I talk about is very personal and very like I don't know. I lost my son in 2012, and I wrote about that in two of our songs, and um, it 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 still affects me to this day. There's the lyric in one of our songs that I say basically like we convinced ourselves that time heals. It doesn't. I can tell you that personally. It never heals. It gets numb because you try not to think about it, but then it hits you like a ton of bricks when you least expect it. So it's like it never heals truly. It's always an open wound. You just try to fill it with different things and nothing ever does. And that's kind of where trauma came from. It's like I wrote that record based upon my experiences. I lost my mom when I was 20. She was alive the day before and gone the next day. No warning. There was no signs, nothing. It was just here and not anymore. And that pushed me down a dark path. I closed off everything. I didn't want to be involved with anyone romantically. I didn't want to feel anything. And that was for 3 years until I met my wife. And, we've been together 13 years and it hasn't always been easy, being a musician and being young and dumb and stupid. It's like you find ways to get through it, but, that trauma is the last 35 years of my life. It's like from childhood, here's what fucked me up and why I am the way that I am today. Like, if you want to know anything about me, read my words. I will tell you who I am as a person to the core. And sometimes even the closest people in my life don't get that. So,
wow, well, I'll tell you, right, from an outsider's perspective, that's fucking awesome. Because obviously, right, we were talking a little bit before about what I've been through. So I get it.
yeah,
I totally get it. You need that outlet and to step back and go, okay, listen, we're gonna fucking put it all on the table. Whatever happens, happens.
yeah,
Like if nothing happens, which I highly fucking doubt, right? But if nothing happens, at least you gave it your all,
yeah.
and you got all that traumatic shit like out there, and you're like, okay, you're right.
That's exactly what I use music for, man. It is a therapist for me. Like it always has been. It's how I get out my deepest, darkest secrets. It's how I get out how I'm feeling on a day-to-day basis. It's like this smile that you see that's not real. That's not how I feel. That's the front that you have to put on to make it through every day. It's like I have to go clock in just like everybody else. Just because I'm a musician doesn't mean that I don't work 60 hours a week. I promise you I do. And I'm often tired at 35, but there's still that want and need to to be and to feel and to get the things out that are in you that you need to talk about or need somebody to hear. So I mean, I'd hope that if nothing else, there's one person out there that heard my words and it helped them, and that's all I care about.
I'd say there's more than one so far.
I appreciate it.
Yeah. So it's cool. I love, I grew up a fan of music. I played music and did all the things. And the thing that always drew me to it is when people put their heart and soul into it.
Yeah.
Like that's when people connect, right? Which is what
I
we
think,
as
yeah,
humans need the most.
I think that speaks to people. It's like there's so many bands out there that people are like, hey, check this out. And I think there's different types of listeners in music personally. It's like there's people that hear the music and they follow the bass or the drums and they bob their head and that's all that they care about. Does it make me want to move? And then there's people like me who you can do all of those things. And if you aren't telling me a story that I feel like you care about, then I don't care. Like I'm out. Like growing up, a lot of my favorite bands, like I was in a band called They Came Bearing Arms between like 2010, 2009, 8, somewhere around there, 2012 up to, and like back then it was like I always found myself liking like Christian bands for some reason. Like one of my favorite bands was For Today, and that's because like I'm not religious at all, but I could tell that he cared so much about what he was saying that it made me care. You know what I mean? Like he has, if you have conviction, people care, I think is how it ends up being in the end.
When you're uh God, I can't even think of the word. Uh, when you just put it all out though, like what ends up happening is people connect to it. And
Right.
that's, at the
Re-
end of the day, that's
re-
really what pushes it all.
resonate, is that the word you were after?
No, I don't even it it's being like vulnerable when you're being
Oh, there you
vulnerable.
There you
yeah.
go. Yeah, dude. And I think that's the scary part. It's like, we wrote this record and like I put all of my shit out there and it's like, what's different from before? It's like I've done this in previous bands, maybe not to this extent per se, but like I've always been afraid that I'm going to put myself out there and get 300 people that listen to it ever. And that's happened many of times growing up. It's like we've all released music to no one.
Mhm.
So it's like that was my biggest fear in this record is we put a year into doing this and writing it and recording it and we did it all ourselves. We're big on DIY everything. If we can do it ourselves and not pay somebody to do it, we're going to do it that way because it is what it is. But so yeah, I mean, it was a year worth of work, and that was the biggest fear for me. It's like, is it going to fall on deaf ears? Is anybody going to give a shit? I can't control that. All I can do is do what I do best and do like try my hardest and be the most vulnerable and write and edit and never be satisfied. I think that's the biggest thing with this record is like some people like to write their songs and when they're done, whereas I'm consistently editing for months up into the point that I'm going to record something. Like I've listened to the song 1,000 times before I ever step into a studio.
I think most bands are like that though, right?
Yeah.
So I was just talking with who Jason Taylor from The Obsessed, and he says, he said something very similar, right? They play, they rearrange, they add and subtract up until they record, and by the time it's recorded, it's at that point they're like, okay, that part's done. Now it's, you go out and
And,
play, and there's going to be those little adjustments here and there, right?
and then once you record it and you hear it back and you say like this is it and then you print it, you're like, damn, I wish I would have changed that
Yeah,
every time.
every time, for
Every
sure.
time.
Never satisfied. And at the same time, right? That's the thing that makes you go, okay, I'm going to write a song similar and
Mhm.
better because now this is what I know from that.
Oh,
Exactly.
and the thing is, like, is a song ever truly finished? That's the big question. It's like you can any song that anybody's ever written, it can be altered 15 different times before you print it out, and then it's just I think whenever you collectively listen with each other and everybody just has that synchronized kind of head nod and you just kind of know a song's done, then it's time to like move on to the next ones. You don't want to overdo it either.
Yeah.
No, no, you definitely don't want to overdo it. So walk me through like the writing process on how this album came together.
Yeah, so basically all starts with instrumentals. Like I'm like I say, we record and mix ourselves. And basically it'll just just like every song will start with a riff. Um And the funny thing is, whenever a song is complete, I actually have to learn how to play it because my writing style is I'll write a riff. I'll be recording the whole time. I'll write a riff. Okay, that's good. And I'll move on to the next one. Okay, that sounds good. And then when everything's, in somewhat of like a state to where you can hear a song, then I'll start writing, drums and bass and stuff like that. Because Jon actually can write astonishingly well without drums, but I know how of the vibe of the song just isn't complete until the like somewhat of a sketch of drums are there. So I'll basically do like a 65% finished drum track for that, and then Jake will fine tune and he'll do his thing with the drums actually when we track. But yeah, it's really just a bounce back and forth. And then Jon will write lyrics, like he'll write the best lyrics in 5 minutes. It seems like, and it'll be the dopest cadence ever, and it's like, oh, okay, well that was like I just sent it to him yesterday. A lot of file share, and then once everything's kind of done, we'll start practice. We're kind of new in the sense, so we like haven't had time to do like one song, learn it as a group, another song, learn it as a group. It's basically been like a collective group of songs, and then we all learn it in crunch time when we book a show when we're not ready. We like to wait until the last minute and really challenge ourselves.
I think everyone calls that ADHD right now. Like you're not, yeah.
Oh yeah.
We're not
Definitely,
satisfied
dude.
unless we're under a fucking crunch and like, oh, we're gonna fail. Nope, we nailed it. Okay, cool.
I mean, that's
and it's like
how
it's not by choice. It just kind of happens that way, Like
yeah, it's like here's a dope show offer. Oh, well, we kind of have to take that. And like, I don't know. We've all been in bands before, so it's like I expect a certain level of professionalism in the members of my band too. If we are going to book something, I'm not going to half-ass it. So if I'm going to put in 100 hours over the next 2 weeks to learn something, I expect you to do the same.
Hell yeah. Well, when you're in a band, I think that's like an unspoken like contract. Like, okay, if we're gonna do this, we're gonna do this to the best of our ability, especially if you're gonna, give it your all and say, okay, this is our last shot.
Exactly, man. I mean, that's where we're at. It's like we trying to come up with concepts and things for what's next. We just dropped a record in January, but the benefit of being a band that has a guitarist that is also an engineer is that we can release more music more frequently than most people. So that's the big bonus of our group right now is that I think the downfall of a lot of local bands is that you don't release music enough. So nobody has enough to latch onto. You release 2 songs a year and they listen to those 2 songs 100 times and then they don't have anything else to listen to in your catalog because you haven't released anything for them to grab onto to care about. So it's like, I think that's a downfall that a lot of people fall into when it comes to recording and whatnot, because it's expensive. Like that's why we couldn't, any of the bands I've been in couldn't do it. It's $1,000 to record a single song. So I mean, if you record 5 songs, each person of your band has to contribute $1,000, and it's not always the easiest to get musicians out of $1,000. We're usually pretty poor people.
all that money goes into equipment, You're like,
exactly.
what?
Exactly. So
Yeah.
it's like the benefit of Cody doing what he does is like, we released an album 2 months ago and I start tracking the next album Saturday. So there's more coming soon.
Hell yeah. That's awesome. So obviously, like I said, I'm a little bit older, in back in my day, we did, you'd buy the little Tascam 4-track or 8-track or whatever, and you did it right on your little
Oh yeah.
Maxwell tape and all that good shit. And the benefit to today is all the digital access that we have to, Pro Tools or whatever you use, it makes it a lot easier. So I think a lot of the local bands are more into doing the DIY thing, and
Yeah.
more music is coming out. It's also helping us really find a lot more killer musicians,
Oh
more than we've ever been able to in the history of music, which is fucking fantastic.
yeah, there's never been like a better time ever in music to be a musician and also an aspiring engineer. Because like it's like everything, there's a lot of fancy toys and stuff, just like in every industry, and there's people will try to sell you certain things, but at the end of the day, every program that you get now comes stock with everything that all of your favorite bands used for years. You can get all those results with just stock plugins and everything that you can get on any program. And
Yeah.
then, it's just, yeah, it's really, it's a great time because none of this was accessible like 15, 20 years ago. It just wasn't realistic for somebody to have any kind of setup that could deliver results from your home.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. 20 years ago, you could.
20?
Yeah.
Well, maybe 20, yeah.
Yeah. Not like 25,
Well,
30, like no, but
Yeah.
early 2000s is
Yeah.
really where you started to see a lot of the digital stuff come to light because there was a lot more internet access, right? So the availability to all the programs and plugins and whatnot was just exploded.
whenever I think 20 years ago, for some reason, my brain still goes to 90s.
Yeah. Mine literally does 80s because I'm like 20 years ago. Yeah, 1984. Oh,
80s. Yeah, exactly.
shit. Yeah, no. That's the downside with getting old.
Absolutely.
Uh, so early on for you guys, Jon, we'll start with you this time. What like musician or artist made you go, okay, I really want to do that. Like that's something that I want to follow.
Man, it's weird because like just to give you like a little bit of backstory about me, it's like so I was raised Pentecostal, so crazy religion if nobody knows what that is. Um, and then Columbine happened, so my parents took me out of school in fear of gun violence, and I was homeschooled from all middle school from fourth to eighth grade. Um, and I didn't know anybody but the people I went to church with. I didn't really have friends, so like it was just me. My parents would buy me the next wrestling video game to keep me distracted for the next 6 months until I get bored with that. Um, and I started playing baseball when I was 12 just because I wanted to meet friends and do something. So I started playing baseball, and I've always been I don't know, I've always been somebody that thinks a lot, I guess, because like when I started playing baseball at 12, I was like, what time? When did you guys start? Six, you six, you seven, you eight. Oh shit, I got to catch up, right? So I outran everybody, I out hustled everybody, I outworked everybody, and made the all-star team my first year of playing little league, and I never played baseball before. And then I did that for a couple of years, and then I aged out of playing baseball, so they put me in high school, and that's the only reason that I went back to high school is because they thought that I was good enough to be something. So I went to high school, and I was homeschooled for 4 years, and I knew where the answer keys were. So all I did was get a few things wrong on my paperwork, my homework that I was doing, and I learned nothing for 4 years, right? It's like I was smart enough to trick them and get to play video games all day and not have to do the homework. So I went to high school, and it was a culture shock for me a lot because like I didn't even know how to operate a lock on a locker. Like I've never operated a lock on a locker before. So I just carried my books in my bag for weeks until I finally asked somebody if I could put them in their locker because I didn't want to tell them that I didn't know how to operate a locker. And like little things, like I didn't understand what sarcasm was until I met my wife when I was 22. Like I literally just thought people were mean. I didn't know. Like I really didn't.
Well, to be
And
fair, we are assholes.
that's true. But I played baseball and whatnot and ended up getting hurt. I got a scholarship to play and whatnot, but I ended up getting hurt. About 15 is when I really got into music. Like, I think the first album that I could tell you that I really connected with was Hybrid Theory from Linkin Park. That was probably the first album that I was like, yeah, this is my shit. This is what I like. Um, and then I had an older sister, and her and her boyfriend would always go to shows and stuff, so they just started bringing me along. So like I'd go see Flaw at Tech World when I was like 15, or like there was an old butt rock style band called Breckenridge from back in the day in Louisville. So like I just I took what I learned in baseball, right, which is like there's a farm system to get there, and then I learned that there was local bands, and there's a farm system to get where I want to go too. So there's a map. Oh, how do I follow this map? So that's how I kind of got into music. My first show ever was the Used Taste of Ink tour. It was sick as fuck. And then, I
That was a
just
good album.
it was, and I just dove into music at that point. And then I was living in Scottsburg, Indiana. That's where I graduated high school from. It's a small town, nothing there. Heroin's the biggest trade.
Yes,
Uh,
used to be meth, but at least they moved to heroin.
That's true. But I graduated from there, and when I was like 16, there was this band from there called Escaping Memory, and I didn't know any of them really. I went to a show at a local just barn basically and watched them play, and I was like, well, they're from here. They're doing what I want to do. So how do I figure that out? And then you just start practicing vocals and trying to figure it out, and you suck really bad, and then you realize you've been doing it wrong the whole time, and then you find the right way to do it. And then I just started with learn their songs, and like he'd let me scream on the mic during parts, and people would be like, you sound really good, man, you should do something with that. And then there was this band that came through from Cincinnati called Inhale Exhale, and they used to rip, and they had this song called a call to the faithful, I think is what it's called. And like the end of the song is just a breakdown. And he's screaming, "This is a call to the faithful with bloodshot eyes for the faithless," or something like that. And before I met him outside the show before it happened, I was like, "Dude, when you get to that part, hit me up with that mic. I got you." And he was like, "I got you, dude." He literally handed me the mic and walked off stage and let me take over. And I was like 17, and I ripped it, and everybody was like, "Dude, you did such a good job. You got to do something about this." And I was like, "All right, man, I got to do something about this." So that's when I started in my music career and trying to find people that wanted to play music. And I met my buddy Justin JC. He was the drummer for Taken Lives before their drummer now. So it's like he and I got together with our love for the Devil Wears Prada and bands like that. Those Rise records, those Victory bands from back in the day. And we started writing music together, and it never went anywhere until they Came Bearing Arms happened, and he was in that band with me. And then Taking Lives happened, and he was in that band with me. And this is the first band that I've ever been in without him. So it's like he was my ride or die dude. That he was the only guy that I knew from Scottsburg at that time that loved the music that I did. So it's like let's figure out what we can do, man. Let's have some fun. And that kind of what started it for me. And then now here we are, I guess.
Hell yeah. I mean, that's a good story, right? It kind of takes us through the whole thing. Like, I'm a baseball guy. I love baseball.
Hell
Uh,
yeah.
my whole thing right now is like going to all the major stadiums
Hell yeah.
and seeing a game and buying a jersey from the stadium. We did last year. I went to Tiger Stadium for what I thought was going to be one of Cabrera's last games. He ended up not playing, and I was
Oh
like,
no.
motherfucker. And we went to Anaheim to see Shohei Ohtani,
Yeah, hell yeah.
which
Did you see him before the injury or after?
I saw him in July, so it was before the injury because he
Before the
didn't.
injury.
Yeah, he got up there and like cracked the home run, and I was like, that's all
Dude,
I wanted.
I'm a Reds fan because I've lived here my whole life. So obviously they're the closest, and I've been in just despair my whole life because they don't win anything. But I love them, and I always will. But I think the one stadium that like while watching the Reds play, they play them a lot. The one stadium that I want to go to is Pittsburgh. The fact that the city skyline is just in the outfield, it just looks incredible.
Yeah, my favorite stadium to go to was Seattle.
That would be
We
dope.
we did that in 2016, I think, for my honeymoon with my wife, and that as of right now, that is my favorite stadium.
If Joey
Nice.
Votto makes the Blue Jays, I might make an excuse to go to Canada.
Canada sucks, right?
I don't know. I've never been.
No, no, Canada's not bad. So I told you earlier, I grew up in Detroit, so you could drink at 19 over there, and back in my day, uh, you didn't need a you didn't need a passport to go across
Passport.
the bridge. So
Right.
we just used our license. Go across the bridge, come back, get as drunk as you want. Hope you make it home okay.
That's awesome.
Yeah, a lot of probably
I'm,
nights
I,
none of us
I
should
was gonna
live
say, I
there.
bet you have a lot of good stories and a lot of bad stories.
Yes. Yeah. A lot of those both. Okay. So right now, you guys obviously starting to record new music Saturday. Holy
Mhm.
shit. That's
Yeah.
fucking, you guys are going to pump it out.
We're
Yeah.
stoked. Yeah, we are stoked on it.
So
Yeah.
let
So
me ask,
Cody basically uh, wrote the new stuff and then sent it to me, and I didn't touch it for like a month because like we just released an album, right? But that album has been written for a year for the most part. So it's like he's constantly writing stuff. So we have this whole new collection of songs, and I didn't touch them for like 4 weeks. I'm like, I don't want to. I want to let Trauma breathe. I know that you've heard it 800,000 times because you recorded it and mixed it, but everybody else hasn't.
Yep.
So, but we have all these songs, and I was like, I'm just gonna let it breathe. And I eventually started listening to the songs, and I didn't have anything for them, so it's just like I'm listening and I'm listening and I'm listening and I'm listening, and I'll catch I don't know if you noticed this by listening to our music. I like R&B cadences a lot. I use them a lot in our songs. I think it is a perfect blend for our music, for metal. um, and I use a lot of the offbeat cadences. I like to put words where the music isn't, because a lot of metal bands like to follow the guitars to a T or follow the drums to
yeah,
a T, and I try to throw the differentiations in there in the in betweens, because it catches your ear different because you're not used to it. So when it happens, you're like, oh, what was that? I got to rewind that. It's like those little differences are what can perk somebody's ears, here or there. So um, I ended up writing 8 tracks in 7 days, and I couldn't be more excited about them. I guarantee you they will absolutely shit on Trauma, and I love Trauma. It's my baby. I promise you it's better.
hell yeah. Well, that's fucking cool. I'm excited to hear it. I listened to Trauma a couple of times. I'm digging it. I'm going to listen to it more. I actually sent it to a buddy of mine and was like, hey, dude, fucking check this out. He lives up in Cleveland. I think he'll enjoy it a lot. He, he's got a similar story to mine.
Hell yeah.
Who I actually, he and I became really good friends because of music, right? It was band Battlecross.
Oh yeah, that's. I mean, I've that's how I've learned probably 80% of the bands that I've fallen in love with is just through word of mouth from friends.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's the best way. Like, of
Yep.
course, that historically that's how you fucking got popular. You went out, you grinded, you played shows, and you were like, tell your friends, here's some free tapes, here's some stickers, whatever that is,
Yeah.
and got it going. And so when you hear someone or you hear a few people go, oh man, go listen to this band, go check them out, you're like, okay, right? They're starting to get a buzz. You guys are one of those bands for me. I've heard people, hey man, go check them out. They're really fucking good. Like, all right, cool.
That's crazy. It's so surreal
It
to
is,
me.
dude. It really is. It's like hearing anyone say anything nice about my music is so weird, because it's like the music that we make. It's like I work for a trucking company. I can't go show somebody at work. When they find out I'm in a band, I show them, and they're like, "Are you the devil?" Because and I'm just like, there's just there's certain people out there that love it, and the normal, the people I work with are like 55, 60 year old. They're just not going to get it. So it's like it is
You'd be
it is a
surprised.
different. Oh,
You
I
would
Yeah.
mean,
be,
I found two people at work, so I won't say no one, but
hell yeah. Well, you got to put it out for everyone. If they don't
yeah,
like it,
but that's
well,
so vulnerable. It's like, hey, I'm just ripping myself open. Do you like it?
you put out a whole fucking album of that.
I know, but that's also that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's why when that album came out, I'm like, please don't spit in my face. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
here's everything. I hope it's okay.
Yeah. Well, I'm really enjoying this conversation because I'm digging how we're all cutting up.
Oh
I,
yeah.
I do like the music. I think the music is good when you're vulnerable, whether it's in promotion or putting your life out there on record. it's, it takes a lot of fucking balls to do that.
Thank
Right.
you.
So, keep that shit up for real. You guys are absolutely making waves right now. And I'm a fan of anyone who's going to put themselves out there and get out on stage and fucking give it their all and do it. Whether you sell 10 million records or 10 records, it doesn't matter, right? Like
Mhm.
Yeah,
it's the music and getting it out there. That's what fucking matters. It's the process.
That's
yeah,
right.
that's
So,
like, yeah, it's one of those things like we one of the things that we talked about in the beginning is like we like to establish goals and actually put it in writing. It's like, and we like to make kind of like tier level goals almost. It's like we'll start here. Once this is reached, we'll reach here and this, that. And that's an ongoing list that will continue to just however long we decide to do it. But I think one of the things that like one of the my personal goals is just like I'm just after the 1,000 people, the 1,000 people that just love us. You know what I mean? That's my main goal in this whole thing is just, to have a few people that just ride or die that just love the music.
it's all you can ask for, you know?
Yeah.
And you only get there by putting shit out. So, speaking of putting shit out, what like since you guys are going to start recording again, do you guys have a release plan, or you just like I'm sure you're already thinking about a release plan. What does that look like?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. There's a tentative plan, and it's probably going to change 5 times before it becomes a reality. But tentatively, that's one of the things that's hard, especially in DIY. It's like you are in complete control of the creation, but also how you distribute and how you release. So there's also a lot of like the world, like how things go now with singles and with TikTok and micro content being a big thing, and reels. There's a lot of pressure in the sense that like you feel almost obligated to have a song out and like have like set time frames between each songs that are like sometimes a few weeks even. But we're ever since we got our first body of workout, we have been we've kind of gotten a new level of patience, and we're like, okay, our record has just been released 2 months ago. It's not been that long. We're okay for a little bit. We'll play a few shows, and then we would like to get something out within the next few months for sure.
Okay.
And it'll be a pretty, like I say, once we get into this next phase of our of our group, it'll be a pretty consistent release.
Okay. So have you guys thought about doing split 7 inches or anything like that with other bands to really just help cross promote?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about it today. Yeah.
We have secrets. We have secrets.
I don't like secrets. I like it all to be out there on the table.
I know you do, but you'll appreciate it when you see something and you're like, I see what they're talking about.
Okay.
Cool. And
That's
I mean,
fair.
even with the next record, it's like I, I try to be on top of stuff. There's a great artist in Louisville called Art Echo. I will shout her out, Maria. She is awesome. We just played a show for her, Mag Bar, our art show. It was awesome. It sold out. It was great. And I reached out to her and I just sent her the lyrics to the next record. She's probably the only other person that's ever heard it or read it. And I was just like, I don't know how to tell you how to make the art for this record. I'm going to send you the words that I wrote for the record, and I want you to read them and draw whatever you feel. And she absolutely killed it. I already have the art for the next record. We already have a title, every song's name, everything is ready. We're just got to go in and record it. And once it's recorded, you'll probably get a couple singles before the end of the year, maybe 3, maybe 2, and our secret that we were just discussing. There's going to be the goal is just to keep pumping Vile online and in the city so that you're seeing or hearing our name somewhere at some point in your day to day. And if we can continue to do that, I think the sky's the limit. We book shows ourselves too in the city, and whatever is profited off of that, we split evenly with each band that played. We're not taking a cut off the top of it. We're treating everyone equally and with the same amount of respect that we appreciate and get back from them. So I think that just builds a positive scene, and that's what I'm trying to do in that is be there to support each other, help promote each other. Just you get into this place where people think that there's only enough food for one to eat. And it's been proven time and time again that that is not true. Just look at the city right now. You have, Knocked Loose, of course. You have Greyhaven. You have Gates to Hell. You have Guerrilla Warfare. And that's just naming four off the top of my head that are all signed and doing the damn thing. So what'd you say?
I'll say Belushi too.
Oh, yeah,
Oh, yeah.
Belushi Speedball. You have Devil's Cut. You have Foxbat. You have, all of these
Volcandra,
bands.
yeah.
You have Volcandra. You have all of these bands that are doing it. And there's enough for all of them to eat. So there's enough for you to eat too. You just have to want it and support each other.
Volcandra literally wants to make me quit playing guitar. Like,
Yes, they do.
Dude,
I
those
was like,
dudes,
how do humans do
they're fucking nuts.
Yeah.
Super, super talented musicians. And that, the Way of the Ancients that came out for them is like I was just talking to River, and it's God, that album is so fucking good from start to finish. And you can see, you look at their discography and you see the progression, right?
Yeah.
Like, oh, so fucking good. And they're obviously doing it, prosthetic records and all that. Which yeah, everyone that I talk to, we all know that all the eyes are on Louisville right now. Everyone's fucking watching all the bands around here, right? We're seeing them all get picked up. Obviously, Knocked Loose with as much shit as they've stirred up has brought the eyes here. What else is going to happen? And honestly,
I'll say right now, like Knocked Loose laid the groundwork for the people in the city, the musicians, that hey, it's possible. Like we just thought it was a dream, right? It's like, you have a few people that, a few bands growing up that, toured a little bit, but nothing ever really came of it. And then Knock came out and just took over. Like they just took over. And the fact that they played Coachella and have Billie Eilish banging her head and on the stage, and then you get like the Grammy, like all that stuff. It's just like, what? It's like that's not supposed to happen for bands that play the music that we play,
but it is
but
supposed to happen.
it is. They
Like,
told us it wasn't supposed to happen,
yeah,
and it is exactly.
they fucking lied to you. That's
They
exactly it,
lied
right?
exactly. This is why I have trust issues.
No shit, right? Like, I mean, and it's always been like that with heavier music. We look at the 80s and look at thrash, right? Slayer, Metallica, Anthrax, Megadeth. Everyone was like, no, no, and now they're the fucking big four. These guys are all, multi-million fucking selling albums. Every time someone even says, "Hey, I'm gonna fart on record," it blows up.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, I think there's a truth to it. Like, if you get big enough, you can do whatever. Like, just look at Beyonce and her new record. It's like, what are you doing? But she's so big that it's going to get 100 million views, regardless of what it is. She could literally fart on a microphone and it would get 100 million views.
Oh, she farted on a microphone. That would be a billion view. Fucking.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Everyone be like, "Oh my God, look what she did."
Exactly. That would,
Like,
it would blow up the internet.
yeah. I mean, it's the truth though. And at the same time, right? It's getting out there and doing it, which is what you guys are doing, that's the main reason. I like the music too, but the main reason that I'm like, man, I want to talk to them is because you guys are fucking doing it. You're out there. You're like, we're going to go to play this show. We're going to play that show, and I just see it fucking everywhere. And I'm like, oh, I like the name. Oh, I like the music. Hey, this is fucking all right.
Hell yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. That's all we want to hear. We have the time of our lives every time we play a show, and we definitely have a lot of those coming.
Yep. So what the next show you guys are playing with Taking Lives, is that right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're playing the day before Thunder, April 19th at Mag Bar with Taking Lives, 97 Flood, who rips.
Mm-hmm.
They're so good. We played where Vile played with them a couple weeks ago, and I'm just like,
Can confirm 97 Flood is that band, dude.
They're that. They're
Okay.
that. And Suspectum is on that as well.
That's gonna be a busy fucking weekend, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then what show did we just confirm? Can we confirm that one?
And yeah. What's
So
well, our friends, like I say, we're good friends with the guys in Surfaced, and they're playing a show at Wrong Side 812 with Southpaw, and we got invited to that. I think it seems like we will be there.
Okay.
yeah, so it's gonna be us, Give Up, who is a great fucking band who we love, and Surfaced and Southpaw. So, and that's on a fucking Tuesday. So come the fuck out
I
and let's
I
sell that
didn't know
shit out.
He said I didn't know that. Oh
You,
shit.
you didn't know what?
Give Up so good, like especially live,
Mhm.
like the last thing you want to do is play after them. So I hope we play first.
Quit being a bitch. I told you it puts hair on your chest, man.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
Now I've seen Surfaced. I think I saw Surfaced at Wrong Side when it was still Losers.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah. Surfaced are killing it too. I mean, some will say the next band, they are killing it.
Yeah, they're
They hustle.
they're out there. Not as much. I feel like I don't see them as much as you guys though.
That's because they're not here. Like we have family and stuff here, so they're in Chicago and New York and all those places. And we're like, can we just want to be booked in Cincinnati or like Nashville or like Indy? Let's start there. We played Lexington, so I mean, the next gradual step is to hit Indy and Cincinnati and Nashville, and then we'll go from there. So it's like that's that's kind of the goal. Hopefully by the end of the year is to get out of town a little bit, not too much because I have a family. I can't go on a 6-week tour, but I can go spend a weekend somewhere.
You're not thinking big enough. Yes, you can.
I'll let you talk to the boss.
Yeah. Trust me, I get it. I got one too.
No, I
Mine,
mean, if it made sense, yeah.
yeah.
I mean, obviously, it's got to make sense.
Oh, for sure. You can't just fucking hop in a van and go, cool, we made $25 tonight. I'm living.
I'm not
Yeah.
17 anymore. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I can't do that.
Yeah. Yeah. It
Yeah,
sucks.
like it's all a blast and stuff, and it's like like it has to make sense for us to go, do a certain amount of days. But like I say, the good goal, like at the end, by the end of the year, is to be like surrounding states, throw some out of town shows, maybe do a couple weekenders and stuff, and just kind of see how it goes organically, just see what happens, see how people respond to it.
Hell yeah. Yeah. So I think doing the weekenders would be really good for you guys. Just knowing how close we are to literally all of these other fucking places,
Yeah.
that is a couple hour drive, right? Cincinnati, Indianapolis, Chicago, St. Louis, Detroit, Nashville,
Oh yeah.
Lexington,
Yeah.
Knoxville. It's
That's where we're going to
literally,
be. That's
yeah,
the next step. You can't play in like absence makes the heart grow fonder in a city. You got to come out and play a lot of shows and get people to see you and know that you exist and that you can rip. But if you play every weekend, nobody's going to come every weekend. You're not providing them anything special. They can see you next weekend if you play every weekend. So why would they come to this weekend? You know what I
yeah,
mean? So
Yeah.
you kind of got to play the game a little bit. Unfortunately, it
Yeah.
is an art, but it is a business and there is a game. It is how it all works.
oh, it is like life is a game, dude. Everything we do is a game.
Thank you.
And that is the cold hard truth.
Yeah, yeah,
Do you
fuck
want to
yeah,
write lyrics for our next record? Because I feel like we're on the same page. I'm joking.
Well, if you guys want to talk a little bit of like marketing and promotion and shit, I'm down. That's like, so that's what I do for my other shit too.
Oh, well, we need to discuss more. Yes, please.
All right. Dude, I'm all about like helping. I love seeing fucking everyone help each other. That's one thing that I've really enjoyed about Louisville lately. I know when I first got here, it was very much if you were hardcore, you stayed in your lane. If you were punk, you stayed in your lane. And now everyone's, going to everyone's shows. There's so much crossover. It's beautiful.
Yeah, that's how it should be, man. It's like people like to gatekeep, and it's not cool. Like it's like, why are you gatekeeping? Like even with Knocked Loose, like everybody loved them until they reached a certain point of success, and then they turned on them. And I'm like, why? Because they made it. Now you're mad because other people
Right.
know who they are. Like I don't get it.
No.
It's like you should want if you love a band and you love their music, you should want them to be successful because that's the only way they're going to keep making music. I'll tell
That's
you, the killer to the music that you love is not being able to afford to do it. You know what I mean? That's gonna,
yeah.
not being able to afford to do it is what's gonna make you stop doing it. I've seen so many musicians that were the best that I've ever seen that don't do it anymore or put their stuff out there because they get jaded over time, and I just don't want to become that person.
No, I will. And you're absolutely right. From a fan's perspective, and I tell this to all the fucking bands, right? Like as a fan, I want you to have all the success. I want you to fucking sell out stadiums and do all the things that you want to do because that's like I that's you putting your fucking heart out there and reaping the benefits so you don't have to go work at the trucking company and do, you
That's
know,
and I love my job. Don't get me wrong, I love my job, but at the end of the day, it's 60 hours a week and it's 9 to 5. I mean, it's not 9 to 5, it's way more than 9 to 5, but you're punching a clock for the man every day of your life. And it just I don't know if everybody feels the same way that I do, but it is just monotonous. Like I feel like I'm stuck in the Truman Show on a daily basis and I can't get out of it. It's just
yeah,
like the same thing over and over and over. And I'm like, how do I stop it?
yeah. I think that's pretty constant for everyone, like everyone's all happy and holding hands and shit. I want to break out somewhere. No, you fucking can't go. Ah, damn it.
Yep. Yeah, man. It's like, and that's where music is for me. Like that's the escape, right? It's like that's where you find what you dream of, right? It's like if you could do that and the rest of your life you would, right? Like that feeling on stage when people give a shit about you, like and they're in it with you. Like nothing is better. Nothing.
No, no, for me, that's what always drew me to music. My first concert was the most metal concert ever. It was Michael Jackson.
Hey, little did you know.
It was for the Thriller tour. So
Sorry, I'm
to
moving over here because it got dark.
yeah,
There you
yeah, I was like, he's leaving
go.
us. Uh, so I went to Michael Jackson on the Thriller tour, and I remember I was young. I was probably 7 or 8, but I remember like being wowed by his performance, and beyond just his performance, the whole crowd was it was a big family. Everyone was there. We were watching out, everyone's looking out for each other, especially us youngers, which was super nice. And that
Right.
was my mom took me, which is fucking cool. We were just talking about it a couple years ago with my older brother. She's like, yeah, Tommy was there. I'm like, hell yeah, I was, you know. But going to shows now, like I take my kids to shows. If it's all ages, they they're going. God, they've been to countless shows at this point. Yeah.
That's
So
so cool. Like just the legacy continues and you're able to share your passion and they actually enjoy it with
yeah. Yeah. And
you.
what they don't, so my daughter's a lot more active than my son, but my daughter, her first show was going to see Max and Igor do Return to Roots at Diamonds. We let them pick our vacation in 2017, and we drove up to Minneapolis to go see Guns N' Roses and Deftones,
Wow.
you
Heck
know.
yeah.
Um, so she's seen Soulfly, she's seen Superjoint, she saw Phil Anselmo Illegal, she's seen Slayer and Testament and Sepultura, and like we went to Cincinnati and we're hanging out. I had a buddy working on the tour crew, so we're hanging out in the back before the show, and here comes Chuck Billy, so he hangs out and chats with us, takes a picture with her, and here comes Gene Hoglan, and he hangs out, chats with us, takes a picture with her, and I'm like, man, this is fucking cool, and she's like, yeah, whatever, and I'm like, yeah, you don't know. Then we go across the street from Bogart's to this pizza joint, and in walks Paulo and Eloy from Sepultura. So we buy them a beer and they hang out and chat with us and take photos. And I'm like, kid, you have no fucking idea,
Right. Yeah.
you know?
How rad this is, right?
Yeah. And
I think
now she tells her friends, she's like, oh yeah, I met those guys. And I'm like, really? Oh my God. Like, you lucky? She's like, yeah, I'm cool. I know. I'm like, I'm
how old
cool.
is she?
Yeah,
She's she's 17 now.
Okay, I have a 7-year-old, so that's why I was asking. And like, she'll come to our shows if it's all ages too. You'll see her. She'll sling merch. Her name's Noelle.
Right on.
You'll know who she is. She's the life of the party. But we do a lot. We've been trying to do a lot of more all ages shows for that reason. You know, it's like I'm a dad. I'd like to bring my kid, and there's other dads that would like to bring their kids, and it's like it's not just that though. It's like looking back, I think we forget, right? Like we turn 21 or 18 and we start playing 18 plus and 21 plus, and we're like, that's our shit. We want to drink, we want to hang out. And then you forget that you were 14, 15, 16 in the pits at these shows, getting out all of that angst that you needed to, or else you may not be here today. So it's
Yeah,
like playing those all ages shows, I see those kids in there and it brings me joy, man. It's like, hell yeah, like throw down, dude. Like that is exactly who I was at your age, right? It's like I love to see it. And there's such a there's such a lot of younger kids that are into the music too that like you just I didn't know existed because we're just in that, bar scene or whatever, whoever will book us at that point. So it's like you don't get to play a whole lot of all ages shows. So it's like seeing all these kids in there, it it's exactly what I want it to be. It's like you got to inspire those new people, those new kids, those 13, 14, 15-year-olds to pick up a guitar or a drum set or whatever and continue. Louisville's a great place for music. It always has been, it always will be. So we just have to keep showing people that there's a reason and there's a path to get there, right?
for sure. Well, and I think a lot of bands really notice that when they do the all ages shows, they get the younger crowd. And that younger crowd, what do? They're like, oh man, I went and saw this band. They're telling all their friends. And then
Yes.
as they're all getting older, right, they're like, oh, I got money I can spend. I'm going to go buy that shirt. I'm going to go buy that CD or 7-inch or whatever that is, you know?
Our album release show, like we sold out of all sizes, small through large, and we were like, we ordered like XL and 2XL and 3X because like we're like, we're older, probably gonna have some like all the young kids bought all of our shit, and I'm like, oh, didn't
well,
expect that.
like that's the most important about all ages show too. It's like kids literally determine how culture is shaped.
Mm.
Mhm.
Control what's popular. They control, like especially with micro content, and kids are more apt to share things that they encounter with the world whenever they see it if they're like really excited about it. So
Yep.
it's like, yeah, all ages show. I think it's almost, it's you're doing yourself a disservice if you don't let the kids enjoy the music.
For sure. We went to I was in Indianapolis this weekend for Death in the Midwest, and it was 8 bands, and most of the bands fucking crushed it. A couple of the bands didn't get to play because we lost power. Someone hit a
Oh, I
telephone
heard
pole.
about this. Yes.
Yeah,
Who
Ooh,
didn't get to play? Redivider didn't get to play. Is that
that
show?
is correct. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, the band right before them, I don't remember what they were called, but they were like, so let me see. Yotuma was playing, and that's when I think someone hit the telephone pole, lost power for 2 or 3 minutes. It came back on. They finished their set. The next band went on, and then Redivider was next. While that next band was on, power went out, and they're like, "Oh yeah, we're not gonna get power back tonight." I'm like, "You got to be fucking kidding me!"
ooh,
Like,
yeah,
Yeah,
that
dude.
that's crazy.
yeah,
That's
but there was I don't know 10 or 12 little kids there, and I mean when I say little, like 8, 9, 10 that were throwing down. They had their little mosh pit going, banging their heads, and like, oh, this is the best thing ever. Like, fuck yeah, it is.
yeah, absolutely.
It's
Absolutely.
gonna keep this, keep the heavy music alive.
Right.
Yeah, for
If
sure.
not, as with it dies with us if we don't pass it on to our future.
Well, and it's for those kids, it's absolute core memories because they're like, oh man, I went to the show and these people are playing in bands and we got to talk to them. Like, man, that's so fucking cool.
That's
Yeah.
what it was for me, right? It's like, I remember going and seeing who was it? Headliners. It was Under Oath headlining and Maylene and the Sons of Disaster were playing right before them. And that was the first time that Maylene went on tour with Under Oath since Dallas left Under Oath. And I got to meet Dallas and talk to Aaron and like just them giving me time when I'm like fucking 16. Like, dude, that's so cool. Like that I was like, I want to be like them, you know what I mean? So it's
Yeah.
like here we are.
Hell
Yep.
yeah. Well, and now you guys are doing it. So with starting to record Saturday, do you guys have a timeline on when you think you'll be finished and ready to release?
I would say, like, as far as the record being recorded and mixed and mastered, it would probably be done sometime in September. I would say we are definitely going to have something out before then.
A
Like,
lot of stuff out before then.
but yeah, the record itself, I'd say probably September.
Okay.
Yeah, can't wait. It's gonna be it's. I'm really proud of it.
September 11th.
Yeah.
That is the day.
That is the day. That's when God Hates Us All came out, I think.
Hell yeah. As it should.
Yeah.
That's so awesome. But yeah, I mean, the next record and whatnot, like you said, September, there'll be more very shortly after that. We are doing something different with this one, so you'll have to wait and see. I don't want to just throw it all out there, unfortunately.
We're actually gonna have some like music videos too in this span. That's something that we've kind of,
neglected.
We're kind of, like I say, we've kind of dipped our feet in the water and just kind of seen what the socials need and stuff like that. And like we have we have 2 music videos, but we're definitely gonna be shooting one for every single release from here on out.
Okay. Well, that's cool. Do you guys do any like video content from the studio?
No, I wish I had that skill. I don't have the patience. I can do a serviceable job editing. I did edit the 2 videos, but we're going to put that job to someone who's way more talented and knows what they're doing with that. I can
Shout out Hunter.
Yeah, shout out. Yeah, Hunter's. Yeah, he's godsend. But yeah, I can. I just, it's some. There's there's 95% of the people that do it are better than me at it. So
That's fair. I feel like that with everything that I do.
I feel that way too about in my life.
Yeah. Maybe this is just everybody, right?
Yeah, I think it is fucking imposter syndrome.
That is the way to describe it. Yeah, imposter syndrome. I never feel like I'm quite qualified. You know what I mean?
Shows how much you listen to your band's lyrics, since the Slim City song that they just released that you recorded was called Imposter, sir.
Oh, yeah.
And it was about that. Exactly.
That's fucking awesome.
I know. I've just heard it. I've heard it 5,000 times before.
He's like, all I hear is rars at this point, and I don't even listen to it.
He's like, I don't care what the lyrics are, just rar, motherfucker.
Just sound good first try, and we're good.
Rocking. All right. We're running on time, running close to time. I try to keep it an hour or less. Jon, Cody, you guys have been fucking great. I greatly appreciate you guys taking time out to chat with me.
It's been a blast, Tom. Appreciate you having us, man.
Hell yeah.
Absolutely, dude. Thank you so much.
Are we gonna see you out at the any of the shows?
So my plan is to make the show on the 19th. I'm a little hesitant on it right now because on the 20th, I'm gonna podcast from Legalized Lex, which is like an all day like stoner doom festival down in Lexington.
Right.
But my plan is to be there on the 19th. I like taking lives too. So I think that'll be fun. And if I'm there, we'll do a little like pre-show interview so we can get some live content too.
That'd be
sick.
Yeah,
that would be dope, dude.
Awesome.
Hell yeah.
Well, good talking.
Hell yeah. Have a great night. I'm looking forward to seeing what comes for you guys.
Awesome.
Appreciate it. Thank you, dude.
Thanks, guys. See ya.
All right.
Bye.